Yo, 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 what is up, guys? We're back with another One Piece chapter finally. I'm super excited to get into this one. We have One Piece 1172, The Elbaf I Admire. All right. We have Bon Clay, cover request by Pizza Maru. Some swans rummaging through Bon Clay's cosmetics and putting on makeup. Dude, I miss Bon Clay. We better see him again. All right, let's see. So we just got back into the present once again last chapter, and I think maybe like myself, you guys might have forgot that we were ultimately in a Loki flashback that ended up being a Herald flashback that ended up being a God Valley flashback, and then we went 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 1, and now we're back. Okay, so the Lif ascends to the Sun Realm. We got the gang all here. There are 3 foes up there, says Scopper. Their objective is clear. They plan to abduct 10 children from Elbaf and take them to the Holy Land. The children will serve as living shields, leveraged to turn the warriors of Elbaf into battle thralls. Not good. 3 humans did all this? To think that not even the giant warrior pirates or Yasan could stop them. Sorry, I have no excuse. He's taking responsibility. And then we have Sanji. Dude, God. Like, it's crazy we were actually away from Sanji, Zoro, Luffy, the gang for actually like so long that even just seeing them here, it's like, oh, they're still okay. They're still the homies. I love this. Sanji says, they may be kids, but they're still giants, right? How can 3 people our size move them? One of the 3 is a woman with a strange arrow ability. The children are unable to resist her. They just keep marching towards the West Village harbor. It's all over if they reach a ship and escape to sea. It's all come down to that. Excuse me. Why can't we just take back the kids? One of the 3 is a man named Summers. I know a bit about him. He became a briar man after eating the thorn fruit. He can freely manipulate vines with sharp thorns. The vines can become transparent, and he's wrapped them around the children. So we can't grab them. That's so cruel. Indeed, they're as tough as iron. If we clumsily try to get the kids to break their line formation, they'll turn into pin cushions. It's been set up so that they'll hurt. It's been set up so that they will hurt each other. And on top of that, the last one seems to have the power to make nightmares come true. The things the kids find scary have come to life to prevent their escape. The kids may appear to just be waddling along in broad daylight, but it seems impossible for anyone to stop them. The intruders have set up some sort of twisted game with their 3 abilities. We'll save those kids no matter what. Seems like the quickest solution is to target the 3 ability users. Even if they're as immortal as they claim, there should be a way to take them down. We could try trapping them or crushing them, maybe even eating them. Sounds promising. Let's do this. It's the Sun Realm. Prepare to disembark. Okay. Dude, like they're literally on an Elden Ring lift waiting to like reach the summit to see like Kaled or something like that. Okay. We have the giant monsters and there's like a big, surprise. This is beyond anything I imagined. Are there no limits to these nightmare monsters? Look at that. Is that the great Eric? Dude, yeah, there's like a Luffy guy here. There's like, wait, let's take a look at everything here. There's like a Cyclops with like a club. We have like a giant bird, a giant dragon, a giant lion. There's like a weird Zeus cloud thing going on with like a wolf and skeletons. But yeah, this Nika type spirit is very strange. I want to learn more about that. Hold on a second. Okay. Sorry about that. Dory and Broggy were aboard it earlier, leading the charge with their crew, but they were shot down by those monsters. That can't be. Is that you, Haruden? Kashi-san, I'm glad you're okay. I was in the realm of the dead. Tell me what's going on. You won't believe this. Listen closely. Dory and Broggy are trying to kill Elder Yarul? They all went crazy. Please, you've got to stop them. Dude, it's insane. Kashi-san, how about the children? Ripley and the others went after them, but we have no word on their status. The kids may have already reached the harbor by now. Hey, Roto, listen. What? Bjorn was taken? This is bad. My little brother is one of those hostages. Roto! And he takes off. I'll join you. Me too. Hey, Kashi, which way's the school? Nami-san and the rest should be close. Can you see the fire? It's coming from both the school and the library. Anyway, you said Dory and Broggy have gone crazy? That's right. I feel like Sanji's cooking up a plan here. I don't think it's just so he can reunite with Nami. That's part of it, obviously, but you know Sanji. He's like always he's always like 4D chessing something. Please hurry. Elder Yarul's in trouble. Okay, so let's take I love maps. We love maps. Branch number 8, school and library. Saw is kind of incapacitated nearby. Current location. So Gerd, yeah, Goldberg, Quest Castle, Yarul, branch number 8. Okay, so Walrus School and Owl Library. Okay. Near the library, the Straw Hats. The library, oh yeah, yep, they're still tangled up. The library is burning down, says Robin. And Jinbei says, I doubt Chopper will be back anytime soon, and Brook's gone off somewhere. He must be up to something. We need to get rid of those arrows before the kids are carried off. Master Dory, Master Broggy, I can't stand seeing you like this. Kill Yarul. Please stop, captains. Open your eyes. The Domi Reversi possessed giant pirates en route. The Domi Reversi possessed giant pirates en route West Village. So I think we're probably all thinking that Brook is going to do something with Gunko, like, I don't know, like that's his daughter, or, you know, hey, Gunko, I'm the Soul King. Like, I think we all kind of figured that, that he's going to do something with her. Question for you guys. Do we see one of the God Knights turn double agent at all? Is that even possible? Like, we saw Harold kind of, switch back and forth between, oh my God, I have to serve Emu. I can't do anything about it. Oh, well, I have to, like, right. He's being controlled, but then also switch back to, hey, Loki, please help me. Please tell the people of Elbaf what happened here. Can we get something similar with the God Knights? And do we see someone like Gunko maybe not full turncoat, but like aid them? It doesn't have to be Gunko, could be someone else. I'm interested to see what you guys think about that. So we have the child rescue team with Ripley, Oimo, hanging there, kids. Begone, you vile creatures. There's the hostage group with Colin and all the other kids. We're heading to the harbor, aren't we? If we get there, no whining. We're warriors of Elbath, but we're not warriors. We have West Village. If you want to run, run. We have no choice, Elder Yarul. Captain Dorian Broggy won't listen to us anymore. I won't retreat. There's still something I've got to tell Elbath. And we got a little Gatchat snail. Okay. All right. I think I know where he's going with this, but let's see. Listen, people of Elbath. I will tell you everything before I die. Elder Yarul, our late dear King Harold always believed in Elbath becoming, always believed in Elbath coming together with the rest of the world, and that led to his attempt to join the world government. And Gunko, thinking, brooding, but his efforts were shunned and betrayed. 14 years ago, on that fateful day, Elder Yarul, that wasn't part of him talking. That was just some random guy. 14 years ago, on that fateful day, I saw it with my very own eyes. Harold and all those soldiers were killed by the act of a demon. Dude, I'm a terrible narrator. I keep either coughing or mispronouncing words or interrupting. I saw it all with my very own eyes. Harold and all those soldiers were killed by the act of a demon. Harold struggled to his last breath to keep Elbath from falling into that demon's hands. Wait, so Loki didn't kill our king? I held my tongue, fearing that our people would rise up in revenge, leading us into an untimely war over, our king never wanted. Loki took the people's anger upon himself when he sailed out to sea. He may have always been boorish, but he is innocent. That's the gist, but it's not quite how I'd put it. Don't get carried away, Elder Yarul. Now today, 3 new demons have appeared to subjugate our nation. I hoped this matter was behind us, but we are once more in need of great power. Seems this job's over. Guess I'll go back to sleep, says Summers. Yarul really standing up, dude. He is. I love it. I'm speaking to you now, demons. You can take our culture and history, but let our little ones go. If you think this act will crush our spirit, you've made a grave mistake. We will not show you the same patience Harold did. You speak of subjecting us and picture our people to be your slaves. Who the hell do you bastards think you're dealing with? Okay, sorry. I just want to make sure. This is really hype. Okay, wait, okay. I want to make sure I'm reading correctly. Forgive me, little ones. Cover your ears if you can. Usopp says, well said, Yarul. The Elbaf I admire would never bend the knee. If the Harley prophecies are true, the world is bound to face a great divide one day. So be it. From this day forward, all Elbaf will stand against the world government. Do you really think some thorns, illusions, and this little reversey game would be enough to make us bow? I like this geezer. I bet you do. 300 years ago, he was known as the strongest being to ever hail from these waters. Oh, dude, give us a Yarul flashback, man. We will never submit to your dominion. What say you, proud warriors of Elbath? Well said, Elder Yarul. The Elbath I know and love is back, and Usopp's eating this up. We get it already, Usopp. Focus on getting rid of these damn arrows. We will protect the peace Harold dreamed of. We're finally here. They said if we get caught up in between them, it's over. And Zoro, dude, don't worry. I have a plan. Oh man, this is so hype. This is so hype. Dude, that speech was 10 out of 10. I expected Ja Rule to kind of like say, what happened, like the truth with Harold, but I didn't expect such like an impassioned, powerful speech. Dude, a Ja Rule flashback would be so epic since we just got God Valley in a flashback of Loki, Shanks, Harold, and Gibbon. Dude, I know. That would be sick. It would definitely be super off topic probably, but I think it'd be so sick to see a flashback of your rule. But yeah, man, this speech is so hype, and I'm I I like what Zoro said here in the final panel, but I'm also hesitant. Like, what's his plan actually? Like, Zoro's not a plan guy. He's a dude. Well, he's a draw swords first, ask questions later kind of guy. I wonder what his plan is. I also, again, I don't know if you caught the stream earlier, but I was wondering, do we get, because there's clearly set up for Brooke and Gunko to interact in some way, right? Like, she's obviously a fan of his music. I'd have to reread like the specific stuff that was said, but there's clearly, I think, a connection between Gunko and Brooke beyond just the fact that she's a fan of his music. And so I wonder, do we get Gunko not switching sides, but like helping us out like a little bit? I feel like that could make sense. It makes me wonder what kind of plan do we even have, because that's something more likely Law would have done if he was here. I agree. Zoro's not a plan guy. And even earlier in the chapter, when Sanji was like, "Hey Kashi, which way's the school? Nami-san and the rest should be close." I don't think that's him necessarily like obviously he's obsessed with Nami. Obviously, he wants to be by her side, but I don't think that that's the entirety of that dialogue. I think Sanji, to me, seems more like someone who would have that plan in mind. And so I still would bet he does have one, because he's just the 4D kind of chess guy, right? Dude, if Law was here, I would love if Law was here. And I'd love this idea too of, let me think about this. So Elbaf was a country of warriors, right? Um, but it wasn't just being warriors, it was about violence. And there was a lot of unnecessary violence and a lot of unnecessary conflict and war that I think Harold saw that made him want to retreat into the opposite direction completely, full stop. No more war, no more violence, and I think that was an overreaction. And what I think is a much more stronger, more grounded response is not to get rid of the violence and the warring of Elbaf per se, but to channel it into things that truly matter and are actually worth fighting for. And that was one of Harold's slip ups. And I think that's what your rule is kind of getting at here, where we can have both. We can be peaceful, but when it comes time to show up, to draw the swords, and to fight for what we believe in, we will do it. And I think that's a much more powerful attitude to take as far as the culture goes of Elbaf. So I'm really I so in a way, it takes some of the shortcomings of Harold, where he overshot, he overreacted, and it kind of bridges the two. We don't have to be these barbarians anymore, but we don't have to sit idly by as our country and our people become destitute and ruined. So I think this is actually a huge character moment for the people of Elbath, not just a single person, but the whole culture. And so I think that's really important. Sanji does have the brains for that more than Zoro, who's just more likely to think to slash something with his swords. No offense to whatever his plan is. Yeah, no, exactly. But I do wonder. Well, because earlier on with Zoro specifically, like he was being very. I don't remember because it would just be like one little dialogue bubble, like here and there in the earlier chapters. But Zoro was really he felt more evolved to me, does that make sense? Like, he was being a little smarter. He wasn't just like he was an active participant more so, in in the discussion of what was happening than before. I feel like he's very passive historically, and he gets involved when violence is necessary. But I think he took a much more active role in the earlier, uh parts of the arc in very subtle ways. Harold's vision was clear, but it wasn't executed correctly because he pretty much just surrounded himself over the world government and portrayed Rox as his friend. Or sorry, I assume you mean just surrendered himself over to the world government. Yeah, yeah. Again, I think he was very naive, and one of the last like little reveries that JD Legend was hosting. I know this topic kind of came up where they were like, not that Harold was a bad character, but they were very upset with him. But I really like Harold as a character because of his flaws, because he executed his plan poorly in our eyes, right? But I agree. Like it was clear. I think it was for all the right reasons, but he just couldn't do it effectively because of his naivete. And so we were left with, yeah, like you said, um, it seemed pretty clear that he was friends with Rox, and that's a big no-no, in the eyes of the world government, and I'm sure in the eyes of the people around the world who saw those 2 relations kind of, coming together. But, yeah, Yrul, I think is I mean, what is Yrul, right? He's an elder. He is the most elder, right? And elders have wisdom. And I'm happy that Yrul is bringing that wisdom to the forefront of this. And he's inspiring the hearts of everyone, of the whole country. And it's that in tandem with Harold's vision and his dream that I think is really going to bring that to fruition and bring it into reality. Again, like I don't think you can't have this moment with Yarul without what happened with Harold. And so I'm really, dude, I am hyped to see next chapter. Like I think obviously we're gonna get some fights, and I do love it's a shonen. I do love a good fight. I love Zoro. I love now that we're back in the present moment. The gang's gonna get back together. They're gonna put their heads together and they're gonna figure out how to do this. But also, like, I am a little confused. Maybe Oda is just saving it, but like on their like little elevator ride, Scopper is with them, and he's clearly been shown to be effective at dealing with the God's Knights, at least better than everyone else, right? Like he cut off Summer's arm and stuff like that. And it seemed it wasn't like the end all be all. He didn't defeat Summers, but it showed to be the most effective thing so far. Why didn't he say, like, hey, I don't know. Clearly it's something to do with Conqueror's Hockey, right? We learned that I think last chapter, or when no, maybe not last chapter, when Roger um and Garp were fighting rocks. But I wonder why he didn't mention that to them. Maybe Oda's just saving it. Yarul really is taking the leadership role well, with him declaring war on the world government and standing up. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's a good point. That's something in my hype I kind of even forgot about. Like, it's not just declaring war against these invaders. He's like, yo, screw the world government. He's taking the exact opposite approach of Harold, right? Where he's just like, no, we should be friends, trade, commerce. Harold, I think one of Harold's flaws was that he was so concerned with the vision of Elbath held by other people, by the rest of the world. He was like, he was so concerned with the external world outside of Elbath that he neglected the internal world of Elbath. And so your rule is like really making a stand by saying, we can be peaceful, but we won't sit idly by as this happens, and we'll make an enemy out of all of you to preserve ourselves, to preserve our culture and our ways. And yet we can evolve through that culture and our ways and change into something new while still keeping ideally the best parts of the old, right? So I think this is huge. This is a huge step. This is a huge step for the people of Elbath, and it was really genius on Oda's part to extend not just this kind of what would normally be like a character moment, but to an entire people. And it's really, really, really smart on Oda's part. I love that. So yeah, Conqueror's Hockey. But then again, they haven't even had any training for it. So I wonder how this is going to work. Yeah, I wonder if we're just going to be left with Scopper. Well, also Zoro, right? Like, even though Zoro has it, like he hasn't had the Wano training that Luffy got in terms of using Conqueror's Hockey. However, it is a shonen, so we do know when push comes to shove, right? When you're like on the brink of this intense battle of losing, something awakens, people power up, they level up. So it really is it just going to be Luffy, Loki, and Scopper? 3v3? I think we need a little bit more than that. Maybe. I also feel like low key that Loki might be able to crush all three of them. I don't know. I could see that. Like, but then again, people say power scaling's toxic. I don't. It can be. But Shanks, we don't know context, but Shanks captured Loki, or defeated him or whatever. Do we think Shanks could defeat all three of them single-handedly? And if so, I think that's an interesting question, actually. I don't know. Shanks is just like God tier because we don't know enough about him. So for me, he's just been top one for the past 10 years. So I don't know. Um, Loki probably has the closest ability that can counteract the regeneration from what we've seen so far. Why do you think that is? I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just curious why you think that is. I mean, we've seen like this fiery lightning. There seems to be some sort of Zoan thing going on with Loki, right? Because we saw like the silhouette with like the, like the dog ears and like some possible Fenrir thing going on in tandem with Ragnar? Do you think it's like like an elemental thing mixed with Conqueror's Hockey? Or why do you think so? I also and I don't know if I saw like a thumbnail. I haven't been watching any One Piece videos and it makes me sad. Um, but like I do really, really, really want Sanji to have Conqueror's Hockey. And I wonder if this fight might bring out a little smidgen of it, right? Like we saw with Zoro and Wano. Um, yeah, I wonder. Yeah, Elemental. Yeah, Elemental and also hockey based. I know we don't know if he's a confirmed Conquerors, but hey, what the heck? He might as well be one. I agree. I don't for me, it's nearly impossible. I won't say impossible. I would be extremely, extremely surprised if Loki didn't have Conqueror's Hockey. He comes from an ancient he's his bloodline is more pure. Not that I think that really, really matters, but it has been shown Conqueror's Hockey has been shown to be genetic. And he's an ancient giant, and his the devil fruit seems crazy. It just wouldn't make sense if he didn't have Conqueror's Hockey. So I feel like he for sure has to have it. And I wonder like what's the because like I'm picturing like their fight in a very simplistic, straightforward way, right? Where like, bro, if Loki, who's a giant amongst giants, just like swung his hammer at them with a full Conqueror's Hockey coating, like how does it not literally disintegrate all three of them? That's where my simple mind is going with that fight. But you know what I mean? Like it seems like it seems like a wash, but we know as viewers, as readers, that it won't be a wash. It can't be a wash. So I want, and plus we know Shanks defeated Loki, right? So clearly, and we know Luffy has fought giants, blah blah blah. We know size isn't as important as we would think it is, but I just can't imagine with all of them going at them that it's gonna be a problem. Like I'm wondering where the tension is going to lie because I think the easy route for the tension is hey straw hats, hey giants, don't attack us or we're going to kill the kids, right? Like that's an easy I think narrative line for Oda to do. But I wonder where that tension is going to come from. I'm also like looking at the Harold Loki fight again. And this is another good point actually now that I'm looking at this like Harold is no pushover. He's not he's like the giant. He was going toe to toe with rocks, and Loki killed him. Like Loki killed a regenerative surface sea level, whatever god knight, right? So like Loki ain't no joke either. And dude, this panel of him, like of Loki in his like, I don't know, wolf horn, whatever form, grabbing Harold is crazy. But you know what I mean? Like Loki's no joke. He defeated Harold, and Harold went toe to toe with rocks. And arguably, Harold's way stronger here than when he clashed with rocks. Not that clashes are the end all be all either. That would be sick if he took down all 3 like that, but I don't really see that happening as the matchups. It's like, who's gonna fight who then? No, and I agree. Happening as the matchups, it's like, who's gonna fight who then? No, and I agree. I think, like, on paper, I could see that happening because it's like, how are they gonna stop that? But I agree. There's gonna be matchups. And that's an interesting question. Who is going to fight who? I think hold on, let me think about this. Let me get back onto 1172. We got Summers, we have Gunko, we have Killingham. Summers do be rocking the Thorn Sword though. I actually would really like it if Zoro fought Summers. Like Summers just has that he just has that punchable face. I love Summers, and I know my boy would agree, but he's got the sword, and I would just love to see that interaction of Zoro wiping the smirk off of Summer's face, man. Like, it would feel so good. It would feel so good, dude, to see. I don't think we see well, obviously, Sanji isn't gonna fight Gunko. Well, okay, so I think we what I'd like to see is Summers and Zoro, Gunko and Brook do their random backstory thing because clearly, obviously, there's a connection. I don't think it's just Gunko being a fan of Brook's music, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like, I don't think that's gonna happen. Um, so I'm actually really interested narratively to see how the Gunko Brook thing works. But I would also think, what do we think for Killingham? Is that a Sanji thing? Because I'm thinking Killingham's very fast. He's got like his pseudo horse form Zoan thing going on. Sanji's very fast. Um, do we? Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. What are we saying? It would make sense if Zoro did fight him because Rayleigh, who was Roger's first mate, briefly clashed with him and one shot back in God Valley. I could see him slicing the beard and all the thorns. Dude, yeah. Summers also, like, now that you bring that up, is like a dark version of Rayleigh, like, kinda, like, physically. Um, and I guess personality-wise, because he's an evil dick. Um, I'm also very interested in how Killingham's matchup is gonna work. Like, let's say it is Sanji. Does Killingham, like, use his nightmare stuff on Sanji? And, like, I don't know, Sanji has to, like, fight, like, a giant demon version of his dad or of his brothers or something? Like, I think we're probably beyond that because matchups aside, for the fun factor, fights have to serve a purpose. I think if they're to be done well. So I guess if Killingham, it wouldn't make sense for Sanji to have to face those uh mental and emotional dilemmas again because I think he's moved beyond it, right? I think we could probably all agree with that. So maybe that doesn't make sense. I don't know. Killingham Sanji would be flaming kicking that Sagittarius's ass. Yeah. Dude, I mean, do a nice flame kick to, Killingham's face. I'm for it. I actually would, now that I'm thinking about it though, I would really like if, what if we get Usopp to fight Killingham? Maybe not like just straight up 1v1, but like think of who's most susceptible to nightmares or to fear. It's probably Usopp, right? Like he's gotten a lot better, but he's the most susceptible to like a fear-based tactic. So I would really enjoy seeing that because I think the whole community is waiting for when is Usopp going to have his moment? When is he going to have that growth? When is he going to wield Mjolnir? Whatever the fan theories are, we're all, I think, eagerly awaiting Usopp to have that power up, like that. Um, I guess genesis of his warrior dream. We're waiting for that to happen, and I think we all believe it's going to happen here, myself included. So it would actually be really tight if he fought Killingham. As far as it goes for Usopp to level up, obviously, if he's not going to level up from the fight, then there's no real point. Usopp most definitely, and he does need a moment to shine and do something, as it's been about Elbaf and him being a brave warrior of the sea way back. Yeah, as far as I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe, excuse me, the first like post time skip arcs that got brought up pre time skip, I believe the first one was Usopp in Little Garden talking about going to Elbaf, because we didn't get Zoro wanting to go to the land of the samurai until uh, Thriller Bark. So I think it's one of the oldest setups in the series, and I'm really, really hype and excited to see where Usopp goes. And I'm wondering a few things, like do we get like the brave warrior of the sea element? I don't think it's going to be the end all be all as far as achieving his dream here in the arc. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised. And Oda loves throwing surprises out at us because, like, it saddens me to say we're in the beginning of the end, right? Like, I think Wano really showed us that we're going to start checking off some dreams here relatively soon, because I think, much like how fights are set up in One Piece, where we kind of get the weakest, to Luffy being the strongest, right? Like that's the final one. I think the dreams are going to occur in a similar fashion. I think we get some of right, because like once we for instance, like once we get to Raftel, Nami's dream is going to be done. She's charted the whole world. Once we read the final poneglyph, Robin's dream is going to be done. She has taken in all the history, and so on and so forth. Frankie, once we get to Raftail, his dream is going to be complete. He wanted to build a ship that sailed the whole globe. The dreams of pirates will never end, bro. Okay. You got me. You got me there. That okay. That's a fire ass response to what I just said. I take back everything I said. But no, you know what I mean. Um, we're gonna start checking off the dreams. At least the immediate dreams. The dreams will never end because they are pirates. I will concede that 100%. But no, what was the whole point? I even brought this up. Yeah, um, I do think. I think Usopp will have his brave warrior of the sea moment later in the story, but I think the genesis of that moment begins here in Elbaf. Like, I think it's going to be something that he recalls here that he'll use there. And also, I mean, I think also a lot of people have talked about this as well, is like Usopp kind of already is a brave warrior of the sea. And I think he has a very, very unique dream in that it's not this tangible thing to find the way that, or do the way that everybody else's dreams work. And so and also Usopp is the normal human being of the crew, or at least that's one of the things he's supposed to represent, right? Is like, if we were in the One Piece world, we would more than likely act like Usopp, because shit is scary, dude. People are gods with crazy powers. So it'll be about him recognizing, and I hope it's not like as cheesy as this, but like, you know, you were a brave warrior all along, right? Like, I think, but I also think he needs to realize that, but it needs to be done in a cool and effective way. Usopp needs to get his observation hockey awakened at some point as well. I agree. Being he's going to be matched up against Van Auger in the next arcs, 100%. And one of the common themes that we see in the story is the new generation surpassing the old generation, right? Luffy is going to be stronger than Shanks. Usopp is going to be stronger than Yasop. Zoro is going to be stronger than Rayleigh. I think so. I agree. I agree that Usopp is going to be. He's going to need to awaken it because Van Auger can teleport. He's like, it's going to be like some like DBZ shit where they're just like flashing like all over the place. And Usopp's just going to have to like predict every single moment. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be one of the coolest fights in the series. For sure, the coolest fight Usopp is ever going to have. And that's not a dig at his previous fights because, like, I still remember him versus was it Miss Merry Christmas in Alabasta? That was a hard ass fight. That was tight. But like, yeah, he's gonna have to awaken it, and I'm just pumped to see it. I don't think it's necessary per se, but I really want to see Usopp use a gun, dude. I want him to like. I almost like want the crew to like age like by 5 years to where they're like a little more hard, you know what I mean? And a little more serious. Part of me wants that. The other part of me is like, well, it wouldn't be One Piece anymore if that was the case. Um, but yeah, I want him to use a gun. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I do want him to. And I'm super pumped for his fight against Van Auger. Do you think that we get Do you think Usopp unlocks like that advanced form here? Or do you think it's gonna be in like the next couple arcs? Or for instance, like he's getting his ass kicked by Van Auger, and because he's getting his ass kicked so hard, he then like awakens? Or do you think we see it here in Elbaf? I'm curious. Because I could see a world where I don't know. I'm kind of like in the middle. Like, do we see I can really see it happening against his fight, with Van Auger as opposed to, like, something that happens here. But then again, Oda could just pull something out of his bag of tricks and just be like, "Here's Usopp pushed to his limit," right? Because again, we are expecting, and I think reasonably so, a level up of Usopp in this arc. So do we see it here? I guess that also brings to mind, like, what other kind of level ups do we see the Straw Hats as a whole get? It's possible we could see it here, but if not, being that he doesn't battle anyone or he gets some kind of training in Elbaf, it's gonna have to be in the next arc before the eventual battle. That would be pretty sick if he did end up getting it in a battle, being pushed to the edge, which I could see that happening. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I do expect him to, well, especially after this impassioned speech by Yarul. Like, I think I think Usopp gets his hands dirty this arc in one way, shape, or form. I don't know if that means he's going to unlock that advanced observation hockey, but I do see, because I mean, yeah, Usopp is enthralled. The Elbaf I know and love is back. The Elbaf I admire would never bend the knee. like, he's hype too. He's just as hype as the Giants are. So I think he gets his hands dirty here. I think he kind of pulls himself up by the bootstraps here, and is just like, let's do it. I'll fight by your guys' side. I am here for you. He is God Usopp, and Haruden is the only giant here that knows that. He's the one who held up Usopp, right? So I think we do get a huge, maybe not fight, but again, he's down. I'll say that. Man, I'm really curious though. Like, we need Robin. We definitely need Robin, like, post arc party, to like check out the Owl Library. There's going to be so much juicy stuff in there, and I think it's actually going to be a great character moment for her too. Because remember, a lot of like the books that were thrown out were picked up by Saul and the other giants, and they're in that library. So there's going to be a trip down memory lane. I mean, also, this would be really tight. Robin could find like a book in the library that was like written by Clover or something, or by Olvia, by her mom, and, discover more truths about the world or about the nature of the Void Century. I think that that's an easy narrative line for Oda to do. Not that, he can always, make something up, and have her not do it. I mean, Zoro didn't do anything with Ryuma's grave or the history of that in Wano, sadly. At least not in the manga. I think there was some stuff in like in the SBSs or something like that, but Robin needs a deep study into that before the end of this arc, and it's making us into the perpetual motion of forwarding it into story lore as it's making us. Yeah, I agree. I would love for that to happen. I really just want like, I mean, we got a God Valley flashback. I think everyone's expecting a full Void Century flashback, and bro, it's gonna be crazy. Like, we're gonna be reading that shit week to week, and just be like, like, mine's gonna be blown. Like, I had this same the reaction when we were getting the God Valley flashback, where it's like, holy shit, literally years and years and waiting, and here we are. Holy crap! I can't believe we're alive to read this. And it's gonna be the dude. It's gonna be that with the Void Century flashback, but on steroids. Like, it's gonna be so sick. And I think those little breadcrumbs, like the poneglyphs, Robin, checking out stuff in the Owl Library, is gonna be a catalyst for all that. Like, we just recently, relatively recently, kind of got a silhouette of Joy Boy. Not that silhouettes are the end all be all. Let's not, let's remember Kaido in his silhouette form back in the day. But it's gonna be so tight, dude. It's gonna be like the coolest flashback ever. It's gonna be the flashback of flashbacks. And I wonder if we see Emu there. Emu's been a silhouette for way too long for how much he's been on panel. To the point where I think he's literally like a shadow demon, and like that's just how he looks. I was in the same boat too, man. I wasn't thinking we could get the God Valley incident that soon within a flashback of a flashback. Yeah, that dude, I agree. I was even just saying at the beginning, it's like we're in Elbath, Loki flashback, into Harold flashback, into God Valley flashback, back to Harold, back to Loki, back to present. And it was really cool. I loved the like Mariska doll aspect of that. Like, it was tight. I was super I was super pumped. I think there's still some, it didn't help the Dragon slander, myself a little bit included. I still think Dragon is OP, and he's going to make a big move, and that's the copium of every Dragon fan. I know, but it doesn't make sense for it not to happen. But everything else was sick. I mean, the stuff, especially too, like in the last couple chapters where we got like the Shanks like stuff where he went back to Elbath and or I'm sorry, he went back to Marijois to be a god knight after seemingly after his pirating stuff because remember Roger's death, he's like I'm going to go be a pirate and that's where he talked to Buggy and blah blah blah. But then it seems like he was a pirate for a little bit and then went back to being a god knight or maybe never left being a god knight in a weird way. Maybe that doesn't make sense. But you know what I mean? Like I loved seeing that stuff where he was like even back then Shanks was doing big brain stuff. That was like one of my favorite parts that I wish we got a little bit more details on. Dragon was one of the VIPs of that flashback, seeing what he did to save those kids and what he went through and what led to him being a revolutionary. He's always saving everybody else's kids. Yeah, even his own. No, I agree. Like it wasn't so much that he didn't do thing. It's not. I don't think he didn't do something significant. To your point, because I agree with you. It was more so. I think what people want and what I want a little bit too is like how do I put this? What I think people want in general is they want in a very straightforward way, they wanna see Dragon, like, punch somebody in the face. Like, that's what they wanna see, myself included to some degree. Like, they wanna see him be like, "Screw you guys are killing people, you guys are tyrants that are subjugating the world. Screw you, here's my impassioned fist." And I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for either. But to your point, I think you can do it's the little things that add up over time, like saving kids here and there, like, you know, saving these random ass kingdoms. Like we have no emotional connection to those kingdoms that Dragon has saved, right? Because we haven't seen their struggles, their plights, yada yada yada. But it's those passive things that add up over time, and I think that's why he is the head of the oppositional force to the world government. Like there is no other system or alliance of people in the entire world of One Piece that is directly opposing the world government the way the revolutionaries are. And I think people forget that. And they just want to see him like punch a like one of the celestial dragons or one of the elders in the face. And like that's not what he's about. And that's not how he got to where he is today. Dragon start looking east instead of west in his move? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Looking east forever like a statue. The dialogue between him and Garp was said a lot, as we never really saw an interaction between them and why he resents him. Yeah, and I don't think again I think there's always I think less is more in storytelling which enables us to even have these conversations. But also, I think I would have loved to see a little bit more with Garp and Dragon. And I think a lot of people took him. A lot of people took Garp freeing Dragon. Well, let me rephrase this. Actually, people saw how Garp interacted with Dragon and wondered why Garp couldn't have done that same thing for Ace. And it kind of created a divide in that moment, I think, when Garp and Dragon, were interacting. Um, I want to see that moment too. Let me. What was the chapter? What chapter was that? I know it wasn't too far back. I can never remember like exact moments like that chapter wise. Because I also want to say too, to some degree, um, like you remember in what was it, Logtown, when after Dragon saves Luffy, he's like, "If you want to be a pirate, do it. Like, go be what you want to be." And we kind of have that moment with Garp and Dragon to some degree, like right, like it's a little bit unspoken, but Garp who like we see like the pendulum changing generationally. Like Garp doesn't like the world government or the celestial dragons, but he stays a marine to do what he can. Dragon also doesn't like the world government and completely leaves to go do what he can to directly fight the world government. And then Luffy doesn't like any of them, doesn't like the world government either, but isn't directly opposing them and is kind of indirectly doing what he can via freeing nations himself to fight against the world government. So it's really cool. We get these different slices of attitude towards the same thing. And I think that's really neat, actually. 1166. Thank you. I was one chapter off. Okay. So let's see this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This was a dope ass chapter. I don't have the Viz, so Dad, I'm gonna quit the Marines. Okay. And you, I despise you. Okay. And that's it. I don't know if there's like I wonder what the Viz says, but I'm sure it's something similar. It's crazy because Dragon and Garp here don't look like the age difference is enough to be father son. But clearly Dragon is a young man here and Garp is a little older. But yeah, it's like I the way Dragon has that same moment with Luffy and Logtown, Garp has that here with Dragon. In a way, like obviously Luffy didn't say he despises Dragon, but Garp is like, yeah, do whatever, do what you want to do, man. Do what you need to do. I get it because this or the whole world government organization sucks, right? The Monkey D3 split, how they oppose the yeah, exactly. They have different responses to the exact same thing. He doesn't even look like Garp. I agree. Like Luffy looks more like Garp than Dragon looks like either of them. I wonder who Garp's like. Is there any speculation in the community as to who Garp's wife is, or who Dragon's mother is? Because um, my boy Shade, who normally stops by, we had this debate a while ago, but I still wonder if it's possible that Dragon is merely the husband of Garp's daughter, or was, right? And that Dragon and like maybe another pseudo like well, wait, no, 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 no. Wait, hold on a second. Let me think about this. There's something wrong with my logic. I can figure this out. Because yeah, clearly here Luffy's not even a twinkle in Dragon's eye right now. This is so long ago. Well, he says dad, but like I don't know. I just always thought like because there was something where Garp never actually called Dragon his son, he always called him Dragon. And they do have the same last name, but yeah, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I remember there was chatter about one of the Amazon Lily Empresses being one, but I'm not sure on that. I don't see Dragon falling for that. Yeah. Yeah, it was the Gloriosa loved Whitebeard, Boa loves Luffy, Shocky loves Rayleigh, and there was one yeah, I do remember I know exactly what you're talking about. There was chatter of like who was the empress between, was it Gloriosa and Shaki? Or was it Shaki and Boa where there's like that gap? I don't remember exactly. Yeah, the dialogue, I think there's a lot to unpack with Garp and Dragon. I really I really want to see a meeting between like Garp and Dragon, like in the present timeline, and see what they have to say to each other. And maybe we get a little bit more context before that moment happens. Oh, I think it would be sick. Yeah, between Gloriosa and Shaki. Okay, that's what I thought. Because wait, was it Shaki and then Boa then? Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Dude, I'm hype regardless. I let's see. I'm probably gonna wrap up the stream here pretty soon. But dude, I loved our conversation, man. Like I don't recall you hopping in the streams before. Maybe you have stopped by, but dude, come on back. I'll be here. I mean, if Sundays are good for people, then I'll be here next Sunday at like 9 o'clock, or sorry, 10 o'clock again. We had a really killer conversation, dude. I really enjoyed it. I'm super hyped for next chapter, and there's no break, so that's a huge W. Oh no shit, man! Congratulations. Let me swing by your channel. Nice, man. I started at the beginning of last year. Like I started, I think, literally January 1st. It's fun, man. I love it. I just subscribed. I'll be checking it out. Dude, yeah, I'll be checking out your reaction as well. Well, dude, thanks for swinging by. I appreciate it. I mean, we gotta stick together. I know there's a lot more I could be doing to like make the channel grow, but I'm just so damn busy with other stuff that it's hard to really put in like that extra effort to write scripts and have someone do thumbnails and have someone I have literally zero idea how to edit. So like, figuring out that stuff, it's tough. I'm sure it's easy if I just like, you know, put my mind to it. But yeah, dude, I appreciate you stopping by. I'll see you next week, and I'll be checking out your reaction as well, um, when it comes up. Yeah, nah, I get it, man. It's tough, but it's fun. Like I'm doing the chapters. I'm reading the chapters anyway, so might as well just stream it, right? And I don't, you might feel the same way. But peace out, man, and take care of yourself.